Hi again, everybody. It's Thursday, March 24th, 2022. Today and tomorrow, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to go back to a couple articles I did for Tradersworld magazine, I think in 2019. This is information on harmonics and periodicity. This is some stuff out of the GAN Science book. So I'm going to give you some examples of what harmonics and periodicity is, how to come up with it, and using some of the key numbers in Tesla stack. I'm going to use Tesla as an example. It's got a short trading history. You can get all the data for it, and you can test some of the numbers that I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you the key operative, at least some of the key operative numbers in Tesla, and you'll be able to incorporate those into your trading, and I'm going to show you how to do that in these two videos. So many of you that have studied GAN somewhat know that from reading the Tunnel Through the Air book that GAN said that the Bible was the greatest book ever written and that he'd gotten a lot of his secrets and his cycles out of the Bible. The Bible's a book that's written on many levels. You have the surface story, you have the numbers, uh, numerology, you have the cyclical component. So there's quite a bit going on there. You've got the law of vibration in there. It's really a multi-level book, probably at least 7 levels deep. You can also consider other ancient writings, different cultures. The books from different cultures all pass down the ancients' understanding of natural law. That would include cycles and the law of vibration, which is what, you know, our whole area of study is based on. This list of works also includes the Quran. You can look at other books outside of that. You can look at ancient mythology. You can look at things like Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. All of those writings divulge the secrets of what we're looking for. But let's start out. I did a two-part series. The first one was harmonics, and the second one was harmonics and periodicity. So let's define those terms first of all. So the definition of harmonic is a series of oscillations in which each oscillation has a frequency that is an integral multiple of the same basic frequency. In music, it's an overtone. Here's the physics definition again, and then it's a component of a periodic quantity such as a musical tone with a frequency that is an integral multiple of the fundamental frequency. So the first harmonic would be the fundamental tone, the second harmonic twice the fundamental, and that would be the first overtone. The third harmonic, or 3 times the fundamental frequency, would be the second overtone. To define periodicity, it's the tendency or quality of recurring at regular intervals. And the way I define periodicity is it's a common point where multiple cycles converge and hit their end point, which is also their beginning point. Let's dig into this a little bit more. So what I did in GAN Science was show how to translate the periodic table in price and time to find the number of vibrations of individual stocks or commodities. So what we're going to do is look at the stock of Tesla. So the harmonic is the fundamental or root tone of price, time, or a vector unit. I'm going to do examples on time, but these can also be applied to price. So this is not for time only, it also is used for price. And I'm going to give you some of the master numbers for the stock of Tesla. The first trade date for Tesla was 6/29/2010. One of the key numbers in Tesla stock is 27. This is a master number or master harmonic for Tesla that will be active for the life of the stock. This chart I'm putting on the screen now shows 27 harmonics or 27 counts measured from the first day of trading from 2010 into 2011 here. I'm going to just let you look at this chart. I'm going to move it around and let it sit. You can freeze the screen to look at the hit points because I'm not going to leave it on here very long. Okay, so very quickly, these counts can be started from first trade date, incorporation date, or any highs or lows you wish to measure off of. It can even begin at gaps or accelerations. This is a count that starts from a gap day, so these are all 27 counts. You see we had an up gap here where I started the count. We went to a high at the first 27. The second 27 signaled another gap. The trigger after that was the significant high here. Then here we ended up getting a consolidation breakout or an acceleration. We got a breakout of a 3-day consolidation, and then the last one was a minor high. Now I want to go to harmonics in the Bible to give you a real example of how to dig something out of the Bible and apply it to the market. So harmonics are discussed indirectly in the Bible. As most readers here will know, Gann was a great believer in the Bible and that it held many secrets and the answers to everything. He has said it was the greatest book ever written, as I had mentioned before. The great skill of Gann was his ability to translate information from one field such as science, math, astrology, and create an application in the market with his translation. So with the same line of thinking, we can read the Bible with the idea of translation in mind. A very interesting biblical section is given by Matthew in 1:17. In this set of verses, he is telling us the genealogy of Abraham to Jesus. I'm going to quickly scroll down through this. You can read this and see it for what it is. The reference is listed there for you to go look up. So I'm going to quickly scroll through this. You can freeze the screen if you want to read the genealogy, but the key to this is what I've listed right here, highlighted in the red text. Thus there were 14 generations in all from Abraham to David, 14 from David to the exile of Babylon, and 14 generations from the exile to Babylon to the Messiah. So the genealogy from Abraham to Jesus is taught here by Matthew. So that last paragraph is critical. So what we're looking at, we're giving a key set of harmonics. What he's telling us that 14 generations 3 times is a key harmonic number. So to get something useful out of that, let's take our key number for Tesla of 27. Considering that 14 generations or harmonics may be an important factor, let's take the number 27 Tesla as a generation and then take the number 27 times 14 to see what that number may give us. So that number is 378. So let's look at 378 counts on the following chart. Now on here I've put 5 instances of the count. I'm going to show the starting point here on the lower left, and then the time counts. You can see here this was done in wave 59. It's 378 calendar days from these points on the left, marking out the points on the right. So let's say that this low here where my cursor is, if I count 378 days from that low, I get this high right here at the end of the measurement. And that sets off a nice short trade that lasts about a week and a half. So that's the first example of how to use this information from the Bible. Let's move on. I'm sorry, before we do that, let me show you the end of the counts from the other measurements. So there are the counts. You can pause the screen to look at those closer. So the 14 generations is one count, but we were given a much bigger picture. We were given the lineage as three segments of 14 generations. So if we look at it like that, we've got to develop that out. So the fundamental tone or generation has been developed out into 14 harmonics of the fundamentals and three periods of the 14 harmonics. So 14 periods of 27 is 378, and 3 times 378 is 1134. This gives us another time count to be able to use. So now this count added with the red bar counter on the following chart, which is the same chart section of price action, this will give you a periodic recurrence of a fundamental tone. So let's look at that chart. So now look at the red measurements taken from the left. They're all 1134 calendar days, and you can see the projections to these significant highs or lows, and you can see what good trading points these are. Let's take a look at this secondary low right here, projected 1134 calendar days over, gives us this really nice high point in the market. This is also confirmed by a 378 count from this high right here where my cursor's at. So when you take these numbers and apply them together and they come out to the same day, that is very often going to give you a really good trade setup. Now you can see that every one of these was a good hit. Okay, we're getting a little long here, so I'm going to read the last section of the article quickly, and you can, pause and read through this yourself. The curious mind may want to know what a generation is in the Bible, or how many years is 14 generations. The answer has been given by Daniel in the following manner by linking what Matthew said in the New Testament to the Old Testament. The numbers may be linked to Daniel, which states that 70 weeks of 7 years, or 490 years, would pass between the restoration of Jerusalem and the coming of the Messiah. Daniel equates the 490 years to the lineage described by Matthew, so the Old and the New Testament are connected together in this manner. Daniel's 70 times 7, 490 years, is equal to the 14 generations as described by Matthew. So if we divide 490 by 14, that gives us a generation equal to 35 years in this particular biblical calculation. This 490 number was given a serious go-over by Gann in the Tunnel book, so it's deemed a very important counter. And I do have more information on this, which since I brought it up, I'll put that into another video, maybe next week. Generations in the Bible have also been mentioned to be 40 and 70 years. 70 is a direct harmonic of 35, which is 35 times 2. 35, 40, and 70 are all harmonically convergent at a point which would be defined as a periodic recurrence of cycles. In the translation here, 27 was inserted as a generational harmonic for Tesla. There is no reason that you should not look into the natural biblical harmonic as it was given. Big clue for you. Okay, some will bring up some other thing. I'm just going to let you read through this. I'm not going to show any more on this. But this is very interesting concept. And in the video tomorrow we'll look at periodicity. But I want to point out a couple other things before I close this one out. That this number 42, okay, I paused to give a couple of notes here. So if we take that 42 number, which is the 14 times 3, and break it down, we can take two of its factors as 6 times 7. 7 being a critical number in the Bible and in the law of octaves. We're dealing with the law of octaves of 3 and 7 are key numbers. There's an old Gann adage that 7 times the base is a critical point of termination or end of a cycle. So if we look at this, we have 7 sections of 6 in the number 42. Daniel also had a famous quote of time, times, and half a time, where time is the base unit. Times would be 2 units of the base, and half of that unit would be half a time. So if we took the number 42 and divide it by 7 of 6, that would give us a base unit of 12, where 12 would be a time, 12 and 12 would be times because it's a multiple, and then 6 would be half a time. So if you add all those numbers together, you come to the number 42. So the genealogy that was illustrated by Matthew is also confirmed by Daniel, and the number 12 is the most common harmonic in the world. That was illustrated by Ray Tomes, and that's in the Bible, illustrated multiple times. We have the 12 apostles, the 12 tribes of Israel, we have the 12 zodiac signs. So I'm getting really long here, so I'm going to close it out with that. Tomorrow we'll look at part 2 of that article based on periodicity.